Mango Bay, Mango Bay.
Mango Bay.
Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, Mango Bay, your Mango Bay.
For the exclusive content, don't forget to join our Patreon at patreon.com/mangobe.
Mango.
Bay.
Welcome to Mango
Welcome
Bay.
to Mango Bay.
One-stop shop for South Asian recklessness. What's up?
You know what it is.
It's your boy Usama Siddiquee and Pranav Behari.
Hello,
We're two best
hello.
boys who are comics
Namaskar.
and salamu alaikum.
And salam alaikum.
Bitch.
Pranam alaikum.
Pranam alaikum.
Pranam
How about-
alaikum.
That's a fucking shirt.
I know. I know it is.
What's up, dude? It is patreontime.com/mango bay. Get on the Patreon. We got a Discord server. We got early access. We got
Archived episodes. That's the
episodes.
spiciest shit out there.
literally banned in 30 states.
Yeah, we'll give you Firehole.
What's up? Yeah, dude.
It's gonna give you Firehole.
And that's just the opening intro.
That's
my
how
guy.
spicy. How spicy it is.
A couple of days ago, a random guy was like, dude, I touched myself to your intro.
Oh my
And I'm like, that's all Joe, baby. That's all Joe, baby.
But you don't know how he touched himself, though.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
he wasn't very
Hopefully-
descriptive.
Hole first, hopefully. It better be one hole involved at least.
Guys, this is a great episode. We're very special. This is like Uncle Bay right now.
today-
because we got the scotch out. We're smoking.
This
We got
is
a very
Uncle
special
vibes.
guest.
This is a wild guest. I didn't think we were gonna get him. To be honest,
Dude, it
I'm
happened
excited.
very fast.
It was very quick. Shit moved quick.
It happened very fast. It's
got-
because he's a real one. That's why he immediately saw the vibe and he was like, "Yes." Introducing
The bad boy,
the operative,
The bad boy operative.
the bag man. Okay,
James Elroy,
This guy,
executive.
he's straight out of a James
American
Elroy novel.
tabloid.
Vish Bora. Have you read James Elroy, Vish?
No, I haven't.
You would love him.
Wait.
You're a character straight. Vish is basically a right wing operative.
Yes, he's
Okay.
so basically he's worked for George Santos. He's worked for Matt Gates.
Steve Bannon.
He's worked for Beelzebub.
I know he's been
in
all
the
in
Sixth
there.
Circle of Hell.
All the princes of darkness. And this guy is there behind the scenes.
They say
the darkest
Paradise
of them
Lost,
all.
though, but this is Paradise Found. Here we got.
Listen, I feel like Vish, you are the guy who gets Republicans abortions in red states. Like you're a fixer like that. You're like a Fred
He's
Otash type.
Harvey Keitel in Pulp
in
Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Dead body called Vish.
Yeah, he is really straight out of a James Elroy novel,
Dude,
like a
the
bag
coolest
man.
suit game I think I've ever seen a brown guy ever
here's,
wear.
Here's how I
Hello!
Here's my first introduction to Vish is I'm seeing a video of George Santos, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing the swaggiest motherfucker
Swaggy.
alive, happy,
Bro.
smiling like what up,
The
just
best.
bounding through like the Kool-Aid man,
Dude, it's like the Limca man.
the Limca man,
Limca
the fruity, the
man.
mango fruity
The
man,
mango fruity man.
Okay.
And this is such a wild thing. Is like all my friends were like, "Who's that black guy?" Next to John? And I'm like, "You don't know. This is Kati. This is South India at its finest. This is if you
not just black,
If you
he's
went
Telugu.
to ChatGPT and typed in who is Pranav's ideal man, they would just describe
It's
this
exactly true. It's exactly true. Okay.
I like this guy
They
a
need
lot.
to change the movie name to Quadruple R. Okay. Listen, we're not letting Vish talk. Vish,
What's up, man? Welcome.
welcome to Mango Bay.
Thank you
As
for
you can tell,
having
we're
me.
very excited to have you.
Yes.
Swaggy as hell. Like, look at this guy.
Thank you.
I don't even know what brand that is, dude.
This is Kid Super. It's actually a very local Brooklyn brand. My buddy Colm DeLand that I went to high school
Okay.
with, Brooklyn Tech, right
Hell
down
yeah.
the block.
Oh, yeah.
He would make designs during like lunch, and then one day it became a reality. I was one of the first people to buy one of his first pieces. So shout out Colm, very happy
cool,
that
man.
you could dress me for the Mango Bay show
Dude,
here.
he looks amazing.
You
He's
look
got the-
incredible.
He's got the third eye on the hat.
I love that. Very,
The
very
third-
dharmic pilled, Hindu
we go.
pilled.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, I gotta listen. Every time I know there's a camera on me, I represent. And it's very intentional. Everything I do is intentional. That's kind
Facts,
of been
dude.
that's kind of been the brand, and I think people see that. I think you guys see
Yeah, of course.
Of course, and it resonates too.
Well, with Mango, it's always been like vibe overall, right? So it's
Yeah.
like if guy comes with the love and comes with the energy, that's beyond the demarcations of identity, right?
Right.
So that's always been our thing. It's like post identity, what do we call it? Post woke.
We're post woke. That's what we were saying like 3 years ago, and
right.
now people have just started
Right.
using
Yeah.
that.
Identity is hindering, and the concept is that we're transcending above it. And so you're this guy who transcends that immediately. I want to start kind of at the beginning? How'd you even get, like, what would you even call yourself
Okay,
at this point?
hold on, before we
What?
do that, I think the biggest thing about Vish, maybe the biggest factoid, is that he was instrumental in breaking the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Right.
Okay, now I want to take us. That's one point, right? How did you get there, Vish? I know you were. Start from the beginning, if you can.
All right. So, listen, I'm a child of Indian immigrants, born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island. Right, I was, one of the spelling bee types, very smart, but school didn't really vibe with me. I ended up dropping out of Brooklyn Tech and all this stuff. Got academically dismissed from Hunter College, and I sort of fell into the.
That's where the Hunter attack started.
The vendetta began. I hate all hunters.
I hate all hunters, right? So I get in with the wrong crowd. I start, with basically my boys from the neighborhood. I basically start selling like weed and shrooms, and I create a pretty big thing out there, big enough where I get raided, right?
This is wild.
And-
I will say two quick things.
Yeah.
Is that anyone who attacks you always attacks these 2 points very heavily.
Yeah.
He's a convicted drug dealer.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's from the wrong side of tracks. As you can see, he's from Staten Island.
Yeah,
And so these two
exactly.
things are very harping on it. I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah. No, it's actually very key to the way we see politics and how it operates today. But we'll get back to that. So I get raided, and I have to figure out, well, how am I going to reinvent myself now in a sophisticated world? And all I have is an associate's degree from Kingsborough. Like, no, I'm not even qualified to make your coffee at this point. So I decided to reinvent myself as a good Indian boy, and go into IT, into software. And I actually get a pretty decent job after working for my uncle for big clients, big company, and great salary. So now my parents are proud. Nani, he did very well. He's working in software company.
I was wondering when you would start doing the accent. I was like, T-minus 5 seconds, it's coming.
There it is. I could still do it. Let me guarantee you, I'm still very South Asian. So now they're proud, and it's February 2016. I get this job, and I'm like, okay, I've climbed this mountain. Let me pay attention to politics. And that's when Donald Trump's running for president. Everybody's going nuts, and I see these, and I've always been an independent, but always interested in politics. I was always your president is selected, not elected kind of guy, and I see how the primary was kind of stolen from Bernie, by Hillary. And I was like, well, I can't reward that side with a vote. Like, y'all just did some shady
Real shady shit.
You know what I mean? I'm not rewarding that behavior, right? And so I'm like, well, Donald Trump, okay, yeah, he's never served, reality TV star, kind of bombastic, but he's outside of the system. He didn't steal his nomination.
Sure.
So, he seems the most legitimate.
Yeah.
And I support him. And all my friends on Facebook went nuts. Like, as you can imagine, I grew up a minority in New York City. Like,
But every uncle's like, my son.
well, they were just like, oh, well, what's going on with this guy? So that he wins. And I think, this is a moment we're going to come together, that we're going to, like, figure out our issues and, like, talk about how did this reality TV star just become president of the United States? What are the systemic issues?
Yeah.
Right? And instead we tear each other apart.
Sure.
And we're fighting each other. So at this point, I'm like, listen, if I care about this country as much as I do, I'm going to do more than just vote and get involved. So I just, like, April 2017,
I'm gonna fix votes.
At this point, you've now ascended beyond us. Because we're just, he's Twitter boy, I'm an IG fuck, and we're just like, "Bah." So that the fact that you went from that moment to actually upgrade your thought, it's admirable.
Thank you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like someone who like takes the concepts and actually acts on them. So you're going.
Right. So now I go, like, Google Staten Island Young Republicans, and there's a meeting at Danino's Pizza. 40 young Republicans from Staten Island show up. I'm like, I think I could do this.
Wait, so you're at randomly pizza joint.
Yeah.
How does it start?
Was it you who assembled them?
No. This group already exists, and they're doing meetings. So I just show up.
You just roll in.
I just roll in.
Three-piece blue suit.
No, actually, I was dressed like your typical IT Indian boy, because remember, I'm trying to hide and I'm trying to, like, reinvent myself as a
Right.
real software professional.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying not to be.
He's dressing bad.
Yeah.
Actually.
He's like the stapler guy from Office Space.
Exactly.
Got you.
That's exactly what's his name? Ajay in the movie?
yeah.
That's exactly how I was dressing. Right? And so I show up and obviously I don't look like your typical Republican regardless.
This is already fascinating. And to them, you walk in, they're like, who now? What now?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what was their reaction to you?
They were like, oh, no, they were very friendly, very
course,
welcoming because, you know, they're trying to grow.
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Right. And so they playing the game by addition. So they were very welcoming. They started and obviously being friendly and like knowing how to wield my swagger. And they start inviting me places and, asking me to do things and showing up in places. And that's how I come across the New York Young Republicans, meet Gavin Wax and the crew there.
Yeah.
And a year
That's
later,
like your main road dog.
Yeah.
Like your main Republican.
that's
road dog.
he ends up being like my partner in crime in
Yeah.
the New York City area on the Young Gun side.
Yeah.
And we go and take over the New York Young Republicans.
Okay.
And then
This is the beginning of your kind of ascension. This
Right.
is now like Vish becoming
Right.
into his own.
right. And so like in this time as well, I meet somebody who would become my mentor. Right. And this is a secret mentor I still won't name to this day.
It's like
But-
Roger Stone.
Right. But he
Guessing. You know why? Because you have a Roger Stone vibe. Here's why I say that.
That's
okay?
deep. That's deep.
It's because you have a Roger Stone vibe, and that you are kind of a bon vivant. You have a dandyish dressing style, right? Like
Yeah.
you feel
Fascinating.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you're into sex parties or whatever, like Roger Stone was.
This could
But-
also be Martha Stewart, though.
I could
Just
be.
saying.
It could
you
be.
said everything that also could be.
That was my conjecture.
So
Maybe
either
that's
Roger
too
Stone
high.
I'm not against
or
either.
Martha
Yeah.
Stewart. One of those two.
Yeah. And so in this time I meet this secret mentor who's not Roger Stone, but love Roger Stone, and I've been compared as an heir to Roger Stone.
Okay.
Hey.
And he teaches me how to create change through creating content. And so, he starts whipping me up into that. And what I tell him is my favorite.
This is your mentor, sorry.
This is my mentor. And I tell him my
Okay.
favorite right-wing character is Steve Bannon. And he says, okay. He says, by December 19, you're going to be working in D.C. I don't know where. And so finally, December 2019 rolls around. I get a phone call. And he says, hey, Steve Bannon has a open position as a producer in the War Room. And I told him, you're the guy. Never produced a podcast a day in my life, nothing. I'm like, I'm there. So I drop everything, quit my software career. I'm off with Steve Bannon. A couple months later, the pandemic happens.
Yeah.
Now I'm quarantined with Steve Bannon.
Holy shit.
Wait, would it be quarantined? Like you're in the same house? You're
Yeah,
living-
well,
They're
like
watching Tiger King together.
So I'm only allowed to hang out with the War Room crew,
Yeah.
and nobody else through the pandemic. I'm living somewhere else,
Right.
But this is the only same like 5 or 6 guys I'm allowed to deal
Jesus
with.
Christ.
Right. And Steve, and I'm me being Steve's right hand man. I'm spending a whole ton of time with him. I'm driving him everywhere. I'm his guy everywhere.
How's his hangability? He's cool?
It's,
Is he a hangable guy?
it's all business.
Steve Bannon is a huge dork.
I
And
mean,
here's
he's
what I
nerd.
know. Here's the thing: is I kind of love Steve Bannon. He was the producer of Seinfeld. He was his shadow producer of
Right.
Seinfeld. He is a very interesting dude, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he really cuts across the gamut in terms of what culture and politics, in the sense that he was actually in charge of the Biosphere Project for a while, which is really like a left-wing coded thing, right? That's all about like, hey, environmental collapse is coming. Let's seek out alternatives. I think he was in charge of the Biosphere Project for a while, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
And also, I read a funny story about Steve Bannon where I think it was when, like, I forget what the name of the historian was, maybe Gibbons or something, died. Steve Bannon locked himself in the college radio station and played Unbroken Chain by the Grateful Dead on repeat in his honor. And I was like, this is the dorkiest, weirdest kind of dude I've ever heard of.
That's what I got. That's very in character for who he is.
Yeah. I kind of like Steve Bannon in a sense. Okay, I do like I've always admired him weirdly, also because he gave an amazing speech at the Vatican inveighing against neoliberalism, which was like pretty intense.
COVID.
I think it was before COVID that he gave
Had
the
to be
speech.
before COVID.
But I was like, this is a very intense and interesting
All those,
takedown of neoliberalism.
All those, media right wing guys. I'm always like, I'd hang out with you. I'd see what's up.
Here's the
These guys are all fun sounding weird characters.
That's the thing, is like right wing
goofy.
people are kind of more fun
They're
because they
fun.
like to drink. They're anti-regulation,
Partying.
so they want to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
They want to drink alcohol, and they want to have sex parties.
But their vibe is always inclusive. As long as you hate Jews too. Come on. As long as there's one little thing
I
that
was
you can
gonna say, I
attack.
used to say a thing when I was doing like a little mini tour down south like a few years ago, and I told them I was like, I like Southern right wingers because you guys are like
Fun.
We just want to drink, we want to fuck, we want to have 50,000 kids as
Right.
long as you're not Mexican, and that was
See, when they sober up is when they start doing the anti-Mexican stuff.
it's kind of a bad
Just keep 'em
hangover.
drunk.
It's kind of a bad
Keep
hangover.
this going.
For them.
Listen, thick Latinos will not be deported.
They will
I-
not.
What would you rather
promise.
do? Do like a keg stand with Matt Gaetz, or like do a drum circle with Elizabeth Warren?
That's true.
Do
That's
a gluten-free drum circle.
Yeah, with kombucha going around,
She's like, this is my ancestors'
Yeah.
drum. You're right. I've always seen right wingers as like maybe a little off the wall at times, most times, many times, but way more goofy. And as a comedian,
Yeah.
that's the hang.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that creatively, like today on the right is where there's less limitations, and we're allowed to like, explore the transgressive, and I think that there's real value in that for creators and artists, and I think eventually
Yes.
you're gonna start seeing that, But one thing, like, why was Steve my favorite guy in the right wing universe? And it's because it's one of these interviews he did in 2016 where he was trying to point out, like, hey, why are there so many Asians and South Asians that are CEOs in Silicon Valley? And I understood what he was trying to get at. As like brown guys, you get what
Right.
he's saying.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that we value education culturally
Yes.
more. And we're seeing the fruits of that, and we're ending up in high concentrations in these highly sophisticated
Yes.
spaces, right? And there's a deep systemic problem in America that is not addressing that, right? And I agree with him, because I see my boys are all of all descent, right? Like brown,
course.
white, black, whatever, and I do see the disparity in the way they look at education. And so I think that he was trying to speak to that, but he gets lambasted as like a racist and all this
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
That and that's where I was like, yo, if a real conversation is not going to be had, then what is the point? And so that's why I rolled with Steve, and that's I get quarantined with him, and he gets raided on the boat. Right, and when
Were you there for the
yeah,
raid?
I wasn't on the boat. I was in the war room, right? And and I'm telling you, it was all coordinated, right? We're about to go live on the war room. It's like 9:30 a.m. I'm hitting up the guy on the boat. I'm like, yo, is Steve ready? Is Steve ready? And he texts me back, and he's like, I don't think Steve is making it today, mate. He's like Australian or something. And I'm like,
He texts Australian too.
yeah.
Oh, you spell I with A-Y-E.
He's like, I don't think he's making it today, mate. And I'm like, what do you mean by that, right? Like, this is his show. Like, I need
Right.
the Bannon. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have to get him to me. And he's like, I don't think so. I don't know what's going on. And at about like 9:45, 9:50 a.m., the set of the war room is having the TV with the chyron at the bottom. Turned it on, 9:50 a.m., breaking news, Bannon being raided on the boat. And so we're about to go live at 10, right? And it's all part of like the game, so that like we're getting owned live. You know what I mean? With that
That's hilarious.
chyron.
live blogging, live streaming the raid is incredible.
Yeah, so
I love that he was on a boat too. Like that is some baller shit. Where
He
he
was
was
on
like,
a
yeah,
boat,
he got
yeah.
raided on a boat.
He got
you
raided
know?
by the postal service, I think it was. That
so
was
wild.
the agency arm that they used to get at him. So whatever, he gets raided. Next day, he comes out. He does his thing. He's back, and and he goes on right in the air. He says, "I don't give. I'm doing what I'm doing." After he comes off the air, he looks at me. He goes, "Pack all your stuff. We're going to New York. I don't know when we're coming back." I'm like,
Nice.
"Yeah,
So
I love that.
dramatic.
shit. I love
Right?
that.
This is so dramatic.
Yeah, and that's when I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but whatever. Like Steve says, we're rolling, right? We go to New York, and I'm driving him back and forth for a couple days between Rudy's house and where we were staying.
Giuliani.
Giuliani.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, first name basis. Love it.
Excuse me. So we're
We're driving back from R. Dizzy's place.
Art Glizzy.
And
My boy
sorry
Art Glizzy.
guys. Former Mayor Giuliani, for you fucking dorks out there.
Right. So, I'm driving him back and forth, but the Lotte New York Palace, the only 5-star place that's open, Steve only stays 5-star.
Of course.
Right. And so driving him back and forth, one night I ask him, I'm like, Steve, what are we doing here? And he's like, listen, you can't tell anybody, but I think I got Hunter Biden's fucking laptop. Right. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Rudy got this thing. It seems all legit, and like we're trying to make it a thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, Steve, I used to be an IT guy.
Yeah.
Right. And now it all
we
like
go. It all comes together.
comes in handy.
It's incredible.
And then the next day he comes up to me, hands me a copy. He's like, make this thing your best friend. Right. And then so like now I'm learning how to copy it and all this stuff.
So you have to immerse yourself in the nightmare world of Hunter Biden.
Right. I was the one who found like a lot of the first pictures.
That's
and all.
crazy.
Yeah,
You know what? That was very sad. To be honest, like Hunter, because I was expecting, this is gonna be some fun shit to
Right,
watch. Hunter
right.
Biden's like sex tapes or whatever. Hunter Biden's sex tapes they're more like a snuff film where the victim is killing themselves. You know what I mean? Because he's not like Steve Bannon, where he's like, I need to stay 5-star.
Yeah.
He's in a fucking like Motel 6 in Timonium, Maryland, or some shit.
No. He's at the Chateau Marmont too, and he's saying,
maybe.
but see, he turns a 5-star hotel into a trap
That's what I'm
house.
saying. So
Right?
no
That's
matter
what he
happens,
does. Right?
Whenever he walks, it becomes a Motel 6
Right.
immediately.
Right.
And
And he's like haggling with hookers and
Yes.
shit.
Right.
I mean, it's gnarly.
Right. And then there's the text messages, the screenshots. Like I'm finding all this stuff, right? Text messages between him and his
Yes.
dad, and all this stuff. And we like construct it, figure out the story in a way to tell it, and we go to Daily Mail. Daily Mail's like, nah, chill. We ain't about that life.
That's them on the email writing that. No,
We had the meeting in person. I brought the guy the laptop and showed him the sex tape.
Yeah.
And his face like dropped. He's like,
wild.
because he saw the president's son, right? And he's just like, am I going to be the guy who publishes this and takes out Joe Biden?
Right.
And I have to walk into work the next morning and be like, yeah, that was me.
That's so crazy.
And he's like, nah, I'm not publishing any
there was
part of
nothing on
this."
him before
Right.
this. There was nothing
Right.
on him. He was just maybe a guy.
Well, there was everything was on the outside. The
Right.
perspective was outside looking in.
And then
what we had
You
was
saw
the inside.
Like it had the
right? Mm-hmm.
Pornhub watermark on the fucking
He
video.
was publishing his own porn.
Yeah, dude.
Because
He
that
really
was my
was.
idea on how I was gonna go publish this stuff on Pornhub.
Oh my
He should've
god.
had that.
That
drop
would have been the
it.
move, dude.
Right?
He should've had
but
that.
the problem was Hunter beat me to my own idea.
He should have had that thing that happens in every amateur porn video on Pornhub where it goes like dun, 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 when they have the amateur porn community.
yeah, absolutely.
Dude, it was like so wild to watch that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a fake website. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh, this has got to be like break.com or like Newgrounds, and it's like CNN.com / it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man.
It was so wild.
It's all real. Finally, we the New York Post, Emma Jo Morris ends up being the one to take it and publish it, and the rest is kind of history. Now the publishing of that and like is one thing, but the reaction was like the real deal, right? Like that was actually the story, like the power, how the powers were able to crush that.
Oh, of course.
Impressive.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was
the real revelatory moment.
I mean, Vivek calls it correctly when he was like, it was a rigged election by social media companies, which suppressed that information, right?
Like you're
They made
mad,
it
we beat
illegal.
you, we got a good story, you're tight. You're tight. Eat it. You know what I mean?
They
But
could
that
not,
wasn't
dude.
it.
That was not how they were going to take that. Let me see the lighter.
Because here's the thing, that's a way better story than emails, you know?
Right.
Hillary,
yeah.
that's okay, but this is like some
You got a
juicy
sex
shit.
tape plus, I guess, was there information about the dealings with Ukraine or whatever on
Everything.
there?
It was plain text corruption,
Right.
right? It was like stuff
Right.
like, yo, send the donation. We're gonna send the donation from this org to this org,
Right.
so that you could give my niece the job at
Yeah.
the UN. Like it's
So this
all
is-
there in writing.
This is like on Outlook.
Yeah.
You know, this is like just like clickable.
It's on Snapchat. He's chatting it up with
it's
Burisma.
just- yeah, literally like yo,
Burisma
me with
Squad.
me and the boys selling American policy for
Hey
cash,
yo,
right?
board
Like,
meeting vibes.
right, That's what it is. That's what it was.
What I loved about it was like what we thought about politics was just happening.
Was
before us.
happening, dude.
Like
Yes.
all our concepts that like you read about in like New York Times bestseller books.
Yeah.
was just happening.
Yeah.
which I love. It was like James Ellroy. It's exactly what it was, and you couldn't write this. Like it's just
Right.
it's just what it is.
Right. And so that's
Blew my
that,
mind.
and so like that was what was the most like revelatory. Like the reason why I got into all this is like, yo, it seems kind of really bad. You know what? I'm gonna go check this out for myself and get in the inside and see if it's as bad as everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
And then I got in there. I look, and now I'm like here on this like podcast tell you it's like it's worse than you can imagine. You know what I mean? Like it's so much worse.
And if that's in your inbox, then what's in the fucking spam?
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or what did you make sure wasn't in
Or
writing
just
at
hit,
all?
like, woo!
Like, I want to see what his algorithm is like, because it's got to be a fucking really gnarly. You know what I mean? Hunter's algo has got to be some other
There's no
shit.
like dog petting and stuff like that. It's dogs being
No, he's not getting fed animal videos
No.
or whatever, or not like that.
not like that.
yeah.
Other stuff.
I mean, that is the true dark web, is Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Hunter Biden's homepage is
it's-
the beginning of the dark web.
and it was all out in the open, at least for him, right? And then once we put it out there, it took 2 years to validate that it was real.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we didn't go to you people in the first place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you would throw dirt on it and doubt on it until it was safe for you to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of objectively, like, this is the interest piece in the moment. Yeah, he's
Right.
running for president and his son is probably selling everybody out.
Yeah.
And we have some real hardcore evidence that was obtained legally.
Right.
You're just mad. You're just mad we
course.
caught you with the
Right.
No,
with your pants down.
they were more than mad though,
Yeah.
right? They were like straight up. They doubled down on the corruption.
It's
in
the
terms
iron
of,
fist like closed and started smashing.
Yeah,
Was
I
it-
mean,
I
they
mean-
revealed they went mask off in terms of just being absolutely authoritarian about that.
Was it
right?
like it's not gonna happen to us again? Was that the idea? Like they got us on Hillary's emails once. We're gonna make sure no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't care if let's just say that the president's son gets caught with a butt plug in his ass and coke in his nostrils. We're gonna stop it.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I guess ready. They had the protocol ready to go.
Yeah.
The playbook was ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we had already shopped around the story to a couple people, and it was in process at the New York Post for a long time. You don't think those people had some friends like,
Of course.
yo, I think these guys got you, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
like,
the job I wish I had if I didn't do comedy anymore.
Yeah.
Is New York Post pun guy. The
Oh,
guy,
yeah,
the guy who makes the headlines on New York Post.
that is the greatest job.
You
It
know
is a
what I'm
great
saying?
job, dude.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like, one was with the ISIS brides were like, she's falling harder for them than the towers themselves. Or
Yeah, something dumb.
Something great. I'm like, these
Falls
guys.
like towers for ISIS Bay. It was like real dumb.
New York
That's why
Post.
the New York Post is
know?
is the intellectual rag of
Yes.
the New York
Yes.
right.
And when
populist
New
right.
York Post has tea at 4, it becomes Daily Mail.
Yeah, and then I
Dot
was going to say,
com.
well, they have the Daily News is like
Yeah,
that's like their shadow, their left wing shadow, right?
the Daily News.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
Yeah,
you
it
feel
is.
that way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because that's But here's the thing: is like Hunter Biden is definitely corrupt. The Bidens are corrupt.
Sure.
But it's like I don't believe that people in their equivalent positions of power on the right are not corrupt. I'm not saying Trump per se.
Yeah.
But like
Right.
you see it.
Oh,
you know?
100%. Well, I think part of what we were showing as well was that like a lot of these guys in like the Senate Foreign Intelligence or Foreign Affairs Committee, left or right, Durbin, Romney, Lindsey
Yeah.
Graham, all of these guys, all of these guys. Joe Biden is a product of that.
Yeah.
Right.
All of these guys have corrupt dealings overseas,
Yeah.
and that's another reason why they're not just going to let this thing go lightly, because all of those people's dealings then have to be under scrutiny, right? Joe Biden's like, yeah, if I go down for this, all of you are going down for this
right.
too, right? And
It's a
you're
smart play.
right,
It's a
and
smart
so
play.
that's the DC is still a self-correcting, like self-protecting entity in
Yeah.
its own. You know what I mean? And so that's how those decisions are made.
Right.
It's not anything logical. It's not about what's right. It's about what works for us.
Right. Well, it's like the logic of that system, right?
Right.
And that's how it is. It's a very internal logic. And that's why outsiders are so popular, I think, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, well, these aren't people who are involved with that
Right.
who are going to sell the country. out,
Right.
Right. That's why.
But that's the thing. Like outsiders are popular, but then once you throw them in the swamp, they don't know how to navigate.
Right.
And so that becomes the problem. Is like, well, yeah, great. I got an outsider. I could trust him. He's never been there, but I need him to go conquer it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, like you are jumping into a swamp full of monsters.
I mean, do you
And the-
think
Yeah,
that
you know what I mean?
anybody can realistically go into DC and stay pure?
Yes, it's possible, but like there needs to be support systems that are built under that to make that happen.
have
And
you
that's
heard of-
very, very difficult to keep those systems incorruptible.
Right.
You know, and that's ultimate, like, for example, like I think the best talent, the most incorruptible talent in the Congress is Matt Gaetz,
Right.
which is why I went to go work for him, right? Now he is able to draw on the money needed to fight and put up a legitimate political operation from the masses. He doesn't take big money.
Yeah.
Other guys, most of the guys who you have no idea who they are that make up the body of Congress cannot do that.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
they are lame.
I've always said he has mom and pop sex trafficking operations. You know what I'm saying? It's like local, start local.
He's
think
not going
global.
Heidi Klum
what I'm
like
saying?
style, high level.
He
madams.
goes, "What's my zip code, kids?"
Yeah.
You know.
well, look,
So
He's
what-
going
what-
to TGI Fridays on a Thursday.
on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Finding out the local flavor.
Exactly. And he's procuring
He's
for
going
himself.
to the theater groups. You know, who's doing the
That
nativity
Gates is a
scenes.
good-looking guy.
well, look, listen. The DOJ came down on him, couldn't find nothing, and
Yeah,
now
right, right. So it's like you've been with this guy,
Yeah.
and you're saying this is like some smear campaign.
it's absolutely a smear
That's
campaign.
wild.
It's 100% a smear campaign.
crazy.
He came out
That's crazy.
that night that story dropped and said, "Yo, actually, my parents my family's being is being extorted."
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, and that this is actually a way to cover that up and to kind of jam the discovery process on that story.
Right.
You know, and so
I feel like any independent voices
Right.
in Congress, period, are immediately a target, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
If you don't see them on the dole of gigantic super PACs or whatever the fuck, right? I don't know the verbiage for it.
Right.
I feel like they're immediately put on a radar for target for annihilation. right?
Absolutely.
And the problem is also
It's like either we're gonna get him with a sex thing, or Sacha Baron Cohen is gonna go
Right.
and like
the Sacha Baron Cohen thing
Frank
failed
Miller.
with
Dude,
Gates.
you know?
And
Did
that's
he do
what
something?
they tried to get Gates.
Yeah.
Gates spotted him
Yeah.
and was like, "Get this guy out of my office.
Yeah.
I think he's full of shit."
He's like, I've seen Borat.
Dude, if just any politician, if you see a guy with an oblong face and a mustache, just run. That guy's there to ruin you.
Just oblong
Just
in general,
any oblong, bounce. Dude, also it's like poor Matt Gaetz because he's got the sex offender eyebrows. You know.
He really does.
Like,
He's got the Nicholson
he's
Joker
got the
eyebrows.
Joker, like I fuck kids' eyebrows.
Yeah.
Which is like fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like you know, I heard this story. I'm not sure if this is true. When Ralph Nader was going for presidency, they kept like sending him like covert like women ops to like have him cheat.
But they were all like menopausal librarians because that's probably his.
Oh, dude.
who couldn't
his
like
kink.
fuck him anyway.
Dude, DC is just
no, I think-
flooded with these kind of
They were,
women.
they were totally.
Really?
Oh my
they were
God.
trying to
Wait,
be
which
whores.
kind? The librarian types or
just
the
the
skanks?
they're all
The
ops.
ops.
Ops, right?
The ops. The
ops.
secret.
Well, there
fuck
was like
ops.
there was like this.
And everyone's from like a different interest, right?
Right.
You have Mossad sending like the hot Israeli, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
You have like the Chinese sending the hot.
Swalwell,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what it's.
Swalwell got caught
You don't
with
know who you're getting
banging
off
a
by.
Chinese spy,
You
right?
know, and it's like you're chilling at the bar. It's like, yo, this lady's giving me like all the fuck me eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm feeling hot for a second.
Hey,
Right?
hey.
And then I'm like, hold on.
It's gotta be a Xi Jinping staffer.
Yeah.
You
or
very
something close.
You look very nice. And you're like, I know what you're up to.
Oh
bitch.
wow, baby, I love your energy.
Yeah.
Your
There's something
energy.
about your vibe.
Oh,
Don't really care.
everyone here loves you. They come to you. They say hello. They make
I
sure
love
they
how
shake your hair.
lopsided your eyes are.
You must be very important.
You're
to all of you.
only 84. So young, so cute.
And it's all full of that.
It's
right?
all just like hot girl operatives deployed.
Yeah.
Pussy
It's like,
deployment.
you're too hot to be here. This
Right.
place sucks.
Yeah.
All these people are ugly.
It's ugly Hollywood.
They call
yeah,
it ugly
and right?
Hollywood.
Like,
Yeah.
so why are you
Yeah,
here?
exactly.
You know?
It's wild to me that that's how dumb all of these politicos are, where they will take the bait. They will they don't see anything fishy about a 10 coming after fucking a Mitch McConnell type who looks like a fucking aged turtle, the turtle that was on Noah's Ark, you know?
Well, actually, these people have been working their whole lives to get into that
Right,
position.
right.
Right? That's like, yo, what?
That-
Yeah.
Here's
that's
the
exactly
the
right.
Key is,
Yeah.
The key is they don't realize you got to send some sixes their way.
That's exactly
You're
it.
gonna send it so it's like almost viable.
That's exactly it.
You don't send a 10 to an old bitch. You send like Winn-Dixie, like Vonage commercial.
You send
girl.
them a 10 on like a curve, on a grading
Yes,
curve,
yes.
right? For like an 80-year-old
Someone who's on a
congressman.
debt relief commercial.
Yeah.
Get her into this shit.
This is it.
Then you break them down
Yeah.
one by
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Because Ralph Nader was unfazed. He was at the grocery store like, get away from me. I see you. Fuck off. You know what I'm saying?
You know why? Because he's the consumer guy. He knows consumer protection. He's like, I know a bad product when I see one.
I know a scam when I
Because
see
these
it.
girls were going up like, Ralph, that's hot.
The least fuckable name imaginable. Ralph.
That's a hot name.
Ralph.
Ralph.
That's so hot.
Ralphie.
How did an Arab ever get the name Ralph, too? Like, we need to uncover that story.
Yeah.
You know, he's Lebanese, right?
Something
Ralph
like
Nader?
that.
Yeah. Ralph Nader?
It sucks. I mean, Nader is. I mean, his name is like literally the Arabic lowest point, right?
Maybe.
Anyway, so okay, so you're in this world, you're seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
How do you go from Bannon to Jorge?
Okay.
How does
So
that happen?
I've heard you call George Santos the Princess Diana of America.
the Princess Diana of our generation.
of our generation.
That's right. Long
What?
live our queen.
What?
Long live our queen. She.
So is my mom gonna
She'll
have?
wa-
So my mom gonna have a picture of Princess Diana and then also George
Yeah,
Santos
correct.
on her bedspread.
Yeah, Princess Diana will watch the skies. George Santos will watch the hood.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What is this? So how did this? how did this start?
So after Bannon, the War Room, Gates gets into his scandal, and he needs somebody he can trust to travel across the country and to build him a podcast. Because he's been blacklisted from Fox,
Right.
His power is his ability to go in front of millions of viewers every
Crazy.
night.
That's crazy.
And to be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
And they took that away from him.
That's crazy.
And so now he has to go get his reputation back inch by inch on the ground and through the air. And so I was going to travel around the country with him and handle all his operations, logistics, keep him safe. And I was also going to help turn this congressional office into a production shop for like a high quality podcast using congressional resources.
So you want to make a campaign trail, hitting every Toys R Us,
Right.
You know, hitting every.
These rallies, these America First rallies, you know, put them in front of hundreds of people, show the optics that people are still.
We're talking about
with-
Gates or
with him.
Santos here?
Gates.
Okay, Gates.
And so that builds my reputation as a guy who like goes into the fire and like works with these people and does these out of the box solutions
Yeah.
to get him reelected, and then he does get reelected by a higher margin than when he was elected before. After the scandal, we get him elected by bigger numbers, right? So now
Incredible.
I'm like,
Or even better, make him like a heartthrob for kids, like have him get like a Nick Teen Choice Awards.
well, I mean, he was in a
know what I'm saying?
rap
Like,
video
I wanna change the voting age.
at AmFest. Whose idea do you think that was?
I'm changing
Right?
the voting age to 14.
14
people.
months. Let's go.
Yeah, so like we made him a hero. That led to the speaker battle and all that. Right? So like that,
what a shift, man. Well, that's
right?
incredible.
That's that. I was able to move him through that, and now get him to the top where he's now like, you're the speaker. No, not
Jesus
Yeah,
anymore.
Christ.
that's true.
Right? And so like, who's really running the house, right? And so once that happens, and then obviously like that mission is over. He's reelected. He's done. He's clean.
Right.
The next scandal pops up, which
Boom.
is George Santos. Now, I've known George from New York for a long time. And
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he comes from the New York scene, the New York activist scene.
So
Okay.
the young Republican scene, he was always also there.
Yeah,
as
he
well.
was also there. I've known him since at least 2019.
Hell yeah.
I gave him an award in 2020 at the same gala that Gates spoke at,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Forbidden
yeah.
Gala.
Uh-huh.
I actually gave George an award that night.
What was the award
I
for?
forgot the
Best
award.
fillers,
Guest makes Mexican.
best lip fillers.
I don't even know.
Gayest
Listen, I
voice.
walked into it and they're like, Vish, we need you to give an award. I was like, to who? It was like, you got to give one to George. I'm like,
Most
George, why?
duck-like lips.
He's like, listen, he gave a lot of money to the club. It's all good. Like, we just need to, we need a
Yeah,
platform.
yeah.
Didn't they?
I'm like,
Did y'all give Gates
no
like
problem.
most underage penis or something like that?
Oh, no.
What was it like? You got an award for being like.
No, stop. We didn't give him any
Okay,
award
gotcha.
like that.
What did I
no.
read this? Wait, Patreon?
Hold on. Let's let it ride for like
Like
10 more
10 minutes
minutes.
and we'll go to
Yeah,
Patreon. Yeah,
then we'll go to Patreon.
So he's in the scene. You
So
know this.
yeah, and so he's in the scene. That's where I know him, and now he's like under scandal. It's been a month. Nobody's really seeing any movement on the scandal, and that's when I guess he called Gates and was like, "What should I do?"
Right.
And Gates was like, "You should probably call Vish, bro."
Wow. You're the fixer, dude. You're the cleaner. You're the fixer.
Yeah.
That's
You are an
wild.
Elroy style bag man
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
who goes in. You
That's
got to read
wild.
American Tabloid or any book in that trilogy
You
of
would love it. You would
novels.
love it, yeah.
You would love it. I'm scared you might take too much inspo from it and just become a straight up assassin.
I actually described to an academic who interviewed me as part of their dissertation that I always saw it myself as like a Ray Donovan type.
Right,
Just
exactly.
Just like clean up problems for the elites, no problem.
Yeah.
Like whatever you can't do, I will. Right? Like that is what I offer.
It requires
You
a
know?
deep likability, I
Yeah.
think, because these are people mired in like some of the extremes of their own lives.
Yeah.
And you have to, first of all, ingratiate yourself with them, be there for them, and also have them see you as a friend almost. Because they're not going
They have to trust
you.
me.
They have to trust
You have to trust you. Well, they have to trust you, but they trust what you've done,
That you've
right?
done
They
it,
trust
too.
your track record. What I find fascinating is that your skill is actually you're like a media operative. Like you know how to build out a content machine for these people.
Yeah.
That builds their profile, that scrubs their whatever misdeeds or non-misdeeds, whatever it is.
To flood
right?
the zone, right? Flood the Google hits.
Right, flood the Google hits.
I might stab a hooker.
We need
just
to
see.
hire Vish for Mango Bay.
No,
actually,
I'm saying let's both stab a hooker and see what he can do.
yeah.
Just to see,
That's
just like
it?
a trial run.
One hooker.
Like a one hooker.
Okay.
What race? Oh, Asian.
He's like that's so 2000.
It's just an Asian hooker.
An above age.
What is this,
hooker?
amateur hour?
No, good, yes. All right, fine. I'll send you the invoice. No problem.
Dude, I love that. I love that.
That's
and
a
so now,
wild thing.
But Santos is like a bag of scandal, though, right?
Yes,
like
that
this
was
guy
a,
is
that was
real.
a
did
different
you-
project altogether.
And by the way, before we get into the project about George Santos, guys, come visit us on the Patreon. We're going to keep talking to Vish Bora. We got a lot more content coming your way. Get on the Patreon. We love you guys. Thank you.
Your mango bay.